signed upgrading charges against the man accused of kidnapping a Theodore family.
Hector Gamaliel Argueta now faces multiple counts of capital. Our Brendan Kirby is joining us now with the very latest.
And Brendan, you're getting new information about why investigators are confident the bodies they found are the missing family.
That's right, Cameron and Lenise. A full forensics investigation will take some time, but sheriff's investigators say along with the bodies, they found jewelry bearing the names of the mother, Aurelia Choc, and of her 2-year-old son, Anthony Choc. Mobile County District Attorney Keith Blackwood says prosecutors will seek the death penalty against the man they say is responsible.
So back in January, there was a mother, a daughter, and a son that went missing January 30th. I did a video on them. I think it was about a week or 2 weeks later. And it was a lot of people who were arrested at that time. I even said at that time, it looked like a couple of these guys are using fake names just by doing a background report and a check and things I've seen. Well, that family, the Choc family, C-H-O-C, they have been found, but it's not good news, but they have been found. Fugitive TV, stay tuned. Hi, welcome to Fugitive TV. I am your host, Ray Marcel, where we take a look at cases of missing people, any unsolved mysteries or unsolved crimes, and we take a look at it from a different perspective, which would be my point of view, because I was once a fugitive on the run from the law. I did it for 15 years before I turned myself in. So sometimes I can see certain loopholes or maybe some gray areas that other people might not see when it comes to some of these cases. Well, right now we're going to talk about the Choc family, C-H-O-C. They are out of Alabama, Theodore, Alabama, actually, which is, I believe it's, I've never been to Theodore. It sounds like it's really small, but I believe it's like right by Mobile. Let me know if you're from that area. But
The weeks-long search for a Theodore woman and her 2 children ending in tragedy. Mobile County Sheriff Paul Birch says investigators on Wednesday found 3 bodies in a wooded area of Baldwin County associated with Hector Gamaliel Argueta.
He's an evil person that will face his judgment soon.
Sheriff Birch and Mobile County District Attorney Keith Blackwood say they're confident the bodies belong to Aurelia Choc and her 2 children, 17-year-old Nurica Choc and 2-year-old Anthony Garcia Choc.
Conclusive forensic identity will take some time. There is enough evidence in this case for us to determine that this is the Choc family that we've been searching for.
The property where the bodies were found is located in a wooded area off Downing Road, east of Summerdale.
I did a video on them. I think I did 2 videos. The Choc family consisted of a mother, a son, he was 2 years old, and one of her daughters, because she's got more than one. And I believe this daughter was 16. Well, they went missing January 30th, and they were, well, the last time they were seen was January 30th, but then they were reported missing January 31st. So just to give you a quick rundown of what happened, just very quickly, a neighbor got worried because the mother didn't show up for work, because the neighbor gives the mother a ride to work, right? So the neighbor saw that she didn't show up to get her ride. So the neighbor went and knocked on the door. They didn't answer. So I guess the neighbor went to the house. They weren't there, but saw signs of struggle, called the police. Police showed up. When police showed up, they saw a mattress missing. Now, when the mattress was missing, I say right away, they're trying to hide evidence because there was probably some DNA left on the mattress. And then later on, come to find out, they did say that they found blood inside of the house. Looked like there were signs of a struggle. The blood matched to the 16-year-old daughter, unfortunately. So a lot of people are thinking maybe the daughter probably lost her life in the house. They're not saying how much blood, but her blood was found in the house. Now, there was a lot of people who was arrested over this, so bear with me, okay? We're going to start with the very first person. The very first person was, his last name was Garcia, 60 years old. They arrested him on weapons charge. Now, he is also the landlord, one of the owners of the home the Choc family was living in. And he was also the mother's boss. He owned a painting company. And we're not done yet. He was also, okay, one of the daughter's boyfriends. She had a 21-year-old daughter, has a 21-year-old daughter. She's still alive. She was dating the 60-year-old. Okay, so he was the first woman arrested. Then after that, they went and arrested the guy who was in jail now. Okay, and hold on real quick. So they arrested, which at the time he was giving them a fake name. And in my first video, I said, I think these guys are using fake names. Well, they ended up arresting Hector Argueta Herrera, who was 27 years old, who was also known as Juan Carlos. So in my first video, if you remember, I'm calling this guy Juan Carlos because that's the name he gave authorities. And not only that, when you run a background on Juan Carlos, all these other different aliases pop up. So I was like, this guy must be given a different name. The 60-year-old Garcia, I still think he's even using some sort of fake identification when I even look into it. Now, these two were arrested, okay? Garcia is also related to the 2-year-old. So the 2-year-old son, okay, who was unfortunately is unalive now. They found his body. The 2-year-old son, his dad lives in Texas. The dad's uncle is Garcia, the 60-year-old. So everything surrounds Garcia, the 60-year-old. Everything surrounds. Well, the reason why they arrested Hector is because a video surveillance showed Hector driving back and forth in a black van, and the black van wasn't even registered to him, it's registered to somebody else. But he was driving back and forth in a black van. They called him, I think, 3 or 4 times on the same day he disappeared. Now, the daughter who's unfortunately no longer with us, I'm sorry, she's actually 17. Her name is Nurika, or Nurka, I believe is how you pronounce it. She's actually 17, okay? They were last seen January 30th, 2026 in Theodore, Alabama. Now, their bodies, unfortunately, were discovered, okay, in the middle of the night in Baldwin County. They were buried. They were buried in a wooded area. It was a light wooded area, next to a property. It was 100 yards away from Downing Road. Okay. Now, some people are asking, how did they know the bodies were there? There was a big reward on them. Did somebody tell or snitch? Well, what one of the neighbors that lives on Downing Road where the bodies was at, what the neighbor is saying that when the FBI questioned the neighbor, like, hey, did you see any strange vans or a black van? They also told him that one of the relatives, their phone pinged to that area. Okay. Now, I don't know if this is true or not, because if somebody did tell and snitch, those tips 90% of the time are anonymous. So if somebody did say, hey, I know they're buried off of Downing Road, a lot of times, sometimes they'll make up a story just so they don't know, that somebody told them. But they did say that the cell phone pinged to that area. They just didn't know where. So they went there a couple times before, didn't find anything. But this time they went back and they went with cadaver dogs, and the dogs picked up on a scent.
One of several properties linked to Argueta where investigators previously had searched. A cadaver dog alerted to a spot during what Sheriff Birch describes as a routine follow-up. This is the spot where investigators found the bodies in a shallow grave. Investigators spent Thursday continuing to gather evidence at the scene. Sarah Jones, special agent in charge of the FBI's Mobile Field Office, says her agency will continue to support the effort any way it can.
It's our coordinated boots-on-the-ground efforts, our traditional law enforcement capabilities that continue to uncover evidence in this case, and we will continue to work together. Our work here is not done. We will continue and maintain our resolve to bring answers and justice to our community and to the Choc family.
Sheriff Birch declined to discuss the evidence in detail, and he says some questions remain unanswered. including what might have motivated such a vicious attack.
They used a contractor company, a construction company, and a construction company went in there and, pretty much dug them up, and they were there. And they didn't do the autopsies, so they still have to confirm it's them. But one of the reasons why they know it's them, because of there's 3 bodies, 2 females, 1 male who's a 2-year-old boy, and they also found jewelry, okay? Jewelry of the mom that has the little boy's name on it and her name. So this is a sad situation all around. They still didn't say what the motive is. They still haven't said anything like that. Now, I'm going to tell you what I think. I've been talking to some people that was close to the situation. I even did a members only video last week, actually, to where I drove to a property myself that's here in Florida because the property was related to one of the Garcias, the 60-year-old. Well, when you look him up, you see Garcia, the 60-year-old, but then you see Garcia, who has the same name, a 27-year-old, which come to find out is his son. And the son has like 4 or 5 properties he all purchased in cash. One of them is down here in Florida. So I actually drove down there myself just to see. Well, one of the other properties is in Baldwin County. And in my first video, I said he's got other properties, and one was in Baldwin County. Actually, sorry, he had 2 in Baldwin County. So I don't know if Law saw what I saw and maybe this led them to it. I'm not sure, but I did know there was 2 properties in that county that connected them. And I was hoping they saw, which they did. They saw that, which is good. So this article is from News Nation. So we know News Nation is always reliable, right? It says, a certified member of the Serranos transnational gang who had been ordered deported but was released by federal immigration authorities in 2021 now faces capital unaliving charges in the deaths of Alabama mother and her 2 children, whose bodies were recovered in a lightly wooded field in Baldwin County, which I pointed out that county in my first video because there's 2 properties there. I said that was associated with it. Hector, and please forgive me, I am horrible at pronouncing names, okay? Hector Argueta Guerrera, but it's not like he deserves to get his name pronounced correctly. So he's 27 of El Salvador, also known, his nickname is Gamma, was already in custody at Metro Jail on kidnapping charges when Mobile County District Attorney Blackwood announced the upgraded charges Thursday. Guerrera now faces 3 counts of capital M during a kidnapping, 3 counts of capital M during a burglary, capital M for the death of 2 or more people, capital M of a child under the age of 14, 3 counts of abuse of the corpse, obstruction of justice for providing a false identification to a law enforcement officer. That's when he lied and told him his name was Juan. Unfortunately, this is the family right here, okay? The Choc family. Anthony Garcia Choc. All right, that was the boy. Then you have the daughter, all the way on the right, okay, who was Nurika Zoleta Choc. Then you have her mom, who was Aurelia Choc. And then it tells you the victims, all right, and their ages. Now it says Hector has a lengthy, violent criminal history spanning more than a decade in El Salvador. In April 2015, Juvenile Court No. 1 in Santa Lucia, La Labert issued a location order against him related to an attempted aggravated homicide, okay? So he already had an aggravated homicide. In October 16th, Justice of the Peace Court issued a judicial detention order for terrorism-related conduct with special aggravating factors. We're not done. In April 2018, a specialized instruction court issued other detention order for participation in a terrorist organization in order for that remains active. So basically, they're saying he's part of a terrorist organization and it still remains active. A second active detention order for participation in terrorist organization was issued in just July 2024. Despite that record, Hector was released inside the United States in 2021 after previously being ordered deported. So he was supposed to be deported. and he was released from custody in 2021. We wouldn't be standing here today if this defendant who was, and it tells you that he was released under the Biden administration is what this part is saying, okay? I mean, how do you guys feel about that? How do you guys feel about that? Let me know.
Seen at their home on Ben Hamilton Road in Theodore on January 30th. They were reported missing the next day. Investigators say blood was found inside the house, indicating signs of a struggle. Hector Guerrera of El Salvador was arrested on February 9th, and he's been under several aliases. Investigators say he's a member of transnational criminal organization Los Serenos and has 2 active judicial detention orders related to terrorism and participating in a terrorist organization in El Salvador.
He is currently in jail right now. He's facing capital M. Now, YouTube doesn't like me to use the M word, M-U-R-D-E-R, okay, for you people don't know. So that's why some of us say unaliving, because our videos can get flagged and channels can get flagged and everything else, okay? So he's right now in jail for capital unaliving, burglary, meaning if they're giving him a burglary charge, then most likely he broke into the home. They didn't let him in. Most likely he broke into the home to get them. And there's a couple other charges too. I think it's mishandling of a corpse, and there's another one as well. Kidnapping charge. You name it, they're trying to charge him with it. Is how they're going. Now, this guy was using fake names because, believe it or not, all right, he's already been in trouble plenty of times. He's originally from El Salvador, and he was even given El Salvador a run for their money. He has a criminal record there. Now, when I did one of my Nancy Guthrie videos, and I told you guys, I interviewed a guy from South America, okay, who's doing life in jail right now, life in prison. And he gave me some things about the whole kidnapping, how it works, abducting, because this is what this guy did. That's all he did. He came to America, did something, and ended up getting life, all right? So when I found this out, it reminded me of the guy I spoke to on the phone, because this guy came from El Salvador, was also known for abducting people. That was his MO. Came to Alabama, did the same thing. Now he's but this guy's facing the death penalty. He's probably going to get it. They're going to be looking for the death penalty on him. He's also gang related. He is a Sereno. So I don't know if you guys know what a Sereno is. I'll explain that to you real quick. They're really big, especially in California, all right? Sereno means Southerner. Southern California is filled with Serenos. And then in Northern California, you have Norteños, which is Northerners, okay? Norteños and Serenos on the street really don't get along. They beef, they fight each other, everything else. Now, when they go to prison, totally different story. Politics takes over. So prison's totally different story. Norteños and Serenos will get together, so it could be pretty much Mexicans against, because it gets divided by race after that. Mexicans against blacks, whites, or whatever it is. That's how it works in a lot of penitentiaries, or prisons. Well, he is a Sereno. So I'm wondering, since he's a Sereno, is everybody else associated with this a Sereno, as in the Garcias, as in, remember I told you the 2-year-old, the son's dad, is he one too? I don't know. But I was speaking with some people close to the situation. We believe this is a traffic circumstance. I'm explaining to you sometimes how trafficking works with these people, okay? Well, you have a family that's in Mexico or wherever they're from, and they want to get to America. A lot of times what they're going to do is they're going to talk with a person, right? And then the person is going to connect them a lot of times with a coyote. Coyotes are people who get you across the border. Either they drive you across, they sneak you through a tunnel, they do whatever they can to get you across the border. A lot of times you have to pay, okay? You have to pay to get over or have a coyote use you. A lot of times these coyotes, okay, they're not working for themselves. They're working for a bigger organization, which could be part of the cartel, which could be a Sereno, who a Sereno could be working under a cartel. It's kind of like a big chain, a big ladder, okay, of rankings that go on. Well, A family would get crossed, they would maybe pay their fee, and then they could be set and let go. But then you have circumstances of if the family cannot pay, all right? So if they cannot pay, what happens is now they're in debt. So especially if it's a female, now they're in debt. Now what they'll do is they'll get them across the border. But once they get across the border, there's going to be somebody on the other side the coyote, whoever it is going to release them to. This person is almost, you can say, like their handler, their PIMP, whatever you want to call it. If it's a female that looks pretty and whatever it is, they'll ship them somewhere, maybe have them working in a strip club. I've seen it. And now, if you ever go to a strip club and most of the girls don't speak English and it's like they're from a different country, some of them might, that's probably what's going on with some of them. Well, they'll be in a strip club and they'll be working, and all that money they make, they got to pay off their debt. All right. There's a baseball player. His name is Yasiel Puig. He used to play for the Dodgers. All right. Yasiel Puig was kind of big for a couple years. Yasiel Puig came from, I believe, if I remember correctly, was Cuba, and then went to Mexico and then came here to the States. Well, he had handlers sneak him out of Cuba to Mexico, and then they snuck him from Mexico to America. But when he came to America, he was in debt and still owed them. And once Yasiel Puig signed his big contract with the Dodgers, it became news because those people who owed him money, all that came to light. Okay, you can Google it, YouTube it. All of that came to light. Yasiel Puig had to pay these people off. Well, then it's like you have to pay. If you don't get to pay them, then pretty much you owe them your life. Now, you're probably asking yourself, well, why would they take the family out? Well, let's put it this way. You have the mom that was working for Garcia. Okay. Remember, she's working for Garcia. Garcia is also supposedly the landlord. Garcia is also the boyfriend of the 21-year-old. What 21-year-olds want to date just some 60-year-old man? There's not many of them out there unless that 60-year-old man is rich or being forced to. It's not a lot of them out there. So this is why just those two things are right there. I already came to the conclusion, like this is a situation to where they were trafficked probably across the border. Okay. Mom was put to work. Daughter's paying off the debt by dating the 60-year-old man. All right. Then you have the son's father. Remember the son's father, who's related to the 60-year-old, but the son's father lives in Texas. He doesn't even live with them. He lives in Texas. Matter of fact, they questioned him first before they even questioned anybody. All right. Now, I'm not saying he's associated with this, but he could be. Could be. Now, the family, the Choc family, was supposed to be getting deported. Okay. I don't know if they tried to do things legal. I don't know if they got caught. I don't know how that happened, but I do know they got their last deportation papers. They were supposed to be getting deported, and then they end up missing. So if the family got deported, that means if they owed debt, they couldn't pay that debt. So what happens now? You got to pay for it with your life, unfortunately. Now, I'm not saying this is what for sure happened. I'm not saying that, but I'm giving you my perspective. I'm giving you my theory because of some things that I know, and maybe some things that I've been around and I haven't unfortunately seen. All right. So this just makes sense to me of, what happened. And this also would explain why Hector, he's probably, if you want to call a trigger man, about whatever you want to call this man, he's probably the one you call for the job that he was doing in El Salvador, like the guy I interviewed on the phone, same type of person. You call him when you want to go get some stuff done. And he's running around with fake names. Now, they are saying he was in jail here in the States. He was in jail here at one point, and he got released. I think it was 2021 or 2022. He was released. He was in jail on terrorist acts and was released. Even though he was an illegal immigrant, they released him. So if they would have never released him, Who knows what would have happened? If family might still be here, I don't know. But it's something to think about. My condolences go out to the rest of the family, the two sisters who are still alive. Please be safe out there. I've seen some interviews with you guys. And I didn't want this outcome to be this way, but I already had a feeling. I was talking with somebody. I already knew. I knew that this was going to be a tragic situation, unfortunately. But my condolences go out to the family. Hopefully Hector gets the death penalty. I said it. Hopefully he does. Please take care of you guys. This is Fugitive TV. Like, subscribe. Let me know if you're from this area. Let me know if you remember the video of me talking about this before, okay? And pointing out the properties before in that county. Let me know if you remember that. Please comment below the city, the state you're calling from, or I'm sorry, typing from, chatting from, country. I try and respond to everybody I can. Fugitive TV merch is below or to the side, depending on what device you're watching on. The Ray Marcel collection with the Fugitive TV as well. Oh, this is very, very sad. But please take care of one another. Watch out for your surroundings, people. This is Fugitive TV, and I'm out.